Hi everyone, welcome back. In our last video, we learned that when we are making unique custom products, we have to use job order costing. We talked about those entrepreneurs from the campus conference, the landscaper and the painter. They must know the cost of each individual job to be successful. So that brings up the big practical question. How do we actually track the cost for one single job? For example, if a customer orders a custom-built oak table, how do we make sure all the specific wood, the specific hardware, and the specific labor time for that table, and only that table, are all collected in one place? The answer, and the single most important document in this entire chapter, is the job cost sheet. What is a job cost sheet? You can think of a job cost sheet as a patient's medical chart. When a patient checks into a hospital, that's our job. The hospital starts a new chart. Every single thing that happens to that patient, every test, every medicine, every doctor's visit gets recorded on that one chart. The job cost sheet does the exact same thing for costs. So when a customer places a custom order, let's say job 101, custom oak table, we create a new blank job cost sheet. This sheet is the central file where we will accumulate every single cost that belongs to that one job. So we can see the three different sections on this sheet. First of all, we can see that there are direct materials. That's the first bucket that we can put costs in. As we work on the table, we will list every direct material that we use. When our woodworker goes to the storeroom and pulls out $300 worth of oak specifically for job 101, we record that $300 in this section. When they use $50 in special hardware, we add that here too. We also have direct labor. This is the second section. As our woodworker builds the table, they are tracking their time. If they spend 15 hours working directly on the job and we pay them $30 an hour, we will record $450 of direct labor cost right here. Manufacturing overhead is the third bucket, and it is the most complex section. We know the job used other factory costs like glue, sandpaper, electricity, a share of the rent. However, we can't trace those costs directly, so we have to apply our estimated overhead here. We'll cover how to get to that number in a later video, but for now, just know that this is where the estimated costs live. So the process is simple. A new job starts and a new job cost sheet is created. As the job moves through production, all the direct materials and all the direct labor costs are traced directly to it. So again, these are things that we can say this is the wood in the table. These are the hours that were put into gluing and sanding and screwing the wood together. That the things were worked directly on the table. And then the manufacturing overhead is all the stuff that we can't directly trace. We know we use glue on it, but it's really hard to directly trace the glue to the table. So we just say we used some glue, we used some electricity, but we can't say exactly how much we used for all of that stuff. Finalized job cost sheet, this is a partially filled one, might look like this. We say we used $500 of oak wood. We used $400 of carpenter A's time and $150 of carpenter B's time. I don't have it on here, but we'd also put an estimated overhead cost over here. And when we get done, we might say, all right, this is a $1,200 table. That's how much it cost us. So thanks to this one document, the manager or the entrepreneur knows the total cost of making that table was $1,200. So they can then use that information to set a smart selling price like $1,500 to ensure that they make a profit. So The job cost sheet is our central costing record for the entire job. How do we actually get these numbers on here? So for example, how did we know we used $500 worth of wood? How did we know that carpenter A spent 10 hours on this table? And so how do these numbers get onto the job cost sheet? We do that using source documents, which is going to be covered in a future video.